Now there's some good news, and I'm going to give you a link to another video which I just watched this morning. It was given to me by one of our subscribers, and it's very good news in terms of our proclivity for destroying ourselves. And so I thought I would only dabble into it a little bit this morning, but I ended up getting started with it and not being able to stop. And it does have good news, so I hope you'll take a look at that. The name of the video is Chaos, Violence, War, and Barbarism: Why Humanity and Peace Will Prevail. Okay, and if you've been watching the news today, it would also give you reason to understand why common sense will prevail in the end. Okay. So, subscriber, I regard the fact that you asked your question a good sign that some in your generation understand that something is seriously amiss. The question is, what will you do about it? Dr. Jung's answer was to awaken consciousness about these issues. Another question is, what will Paul VanderKlay do about it? He is still hypnotized by the beginning of the Christian era, when parts of humanity started to climb up out of barbarity. But we are now entering into a new era, and we need to know where the Spirit, the Holy Ghost, if you will, is taking us as a species. Dr. Edinger delineated 3 eras. Number 1, the era of the law, i.e. the 10 Commandments, cause and effect, karma. What goes around comes around, which is, karma is what goes around comes around in Buddhism. But anyway, the era of the law, and that was developed by early Jews, beginning with Moses, and they established the law which allowed the development of their culture. And since we don't have great records in the Western world about other cultures, even though there were 100 million human beings in the world at 500 BC, that was the era of the law. Then along came Christ, and so the second era is the era of belief, which sold us the all-good God, privatio boni, but individuation, that is, awareness of the opposites, and World Wars I and II have proven the inadequacy of that. Okay, depending on what side you were on and who you were related to, you might not think God was all good after that war. And certainly, as I lost my roommate in Vietnam, I don't see that God was all good in that case either. Okay, so the third era is the era of psychology. That is, waking up to understand ourselves and others as human beings from a psychological point of view so that we can rise above the fray. This is not metaphysics, but it is also not physics. It is something new, and it will be up to your generation to understand and implement the new way of thinking. I can only point the way. And then I explained to him, I will be using your question without mentioning your name in my weekly reading group tonight, which will put it into a video by itself within the week. It's a good question, and I've done my best to answer it, but Dr. Jung wrote 20 volumes of collected works and many more volumes of letters, so you have to consider this just a précis off the top of my head. So that was the exchange from this morning. Great debate that involves Jordan Peterson, Paul VanderKlay, Sam Harris, and a couple of others is raging out there, and a lot of people haven't come to grips with it yet. And a lot of people want to understand religion, and I'm not sure that Paul is really helping them. I mean, he's giving them the school solution. He's giving them, from what I've seen, and I have not seen every one of his videos because he's extremely prolific also, and I'm preparing a lot of videos. But what I've seen of Paul's videos, he tends to fall back on the listing of all these sources and authorities going back 2,000 years, and that's all well and good, and that's all logos, but that's not an experience of God. And the way I originally approached him was, does he have a way that he helps his congregants actually experience God? And in this discussion, I've given you a link to one of my religious experiences. There are several on the YouTube channel that I happen to have caught on either video or still camera. And so those relate to me. They won't necessarily affect you in the same way. I can tell you my story about what happened to me when I had those religious experiences. But what I can tell you is that after having those experiences, and many more over my lifetime, those aren't the only ones, but those are the ones I've caught on video in the last 2 years when I happen to be talking on a video conference like this or recording what I was saying to our group. Those are the ones that I happen to catch on video, and they're hard to catch on video, as you might guess.